I think that's the issue with social media, is that it's giving people what they want to see all the time, like the bits that they find interesting, not necessarily what they need to see. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Paving the Way pod. This week we are going to discuss DIY projects, why paving content of DIY is exploding online, TikTok, and the influence of different social media platforms into the DIYing sector. So first, let's discuss the positives of DIY being showcased across everywhere.
Well,
Education.
yeah, we go on about education all the time, and done in the correct manner, it does highlight to the DIY audience what can be achieved, without employing professionals.
Yeah. I think it's really good for inspiration. I think a lot of people, I'd say 10 years ago, the people at DIY now compared to 10 years ago is so different. You get everyone DIYing different things now, and I think seeing that other people can do something inspires you to want to do it yourself.
Yeah, I think, like you say, 10, 15 years ago, whatever, you envisage the DIY person to be that man in his shed, tinkering away with different things and doing whatever else they used to do in those sheds.
Yeah.
But now everybody and anybody
Absolutely.
can come and,
There's an explosion of fantastic women doing DIY on social media, and to be quite honest, it's completely turned around. It's generally the wife getting the DIY done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It is in my part. But yeah. But yeah, no, and I think the benefits of it just show that the boundaries don't have to be there if you don't want them to be. There's no reason why anybody can't look and learn and do something and do it themselves if they've got the time, the correct preparation, everything else like that to be able to do it. There's no reason why people can't.
Absolutely. Well, it's cost saving. There's loads of advantages to it. I think with the inspiration though, I think it's really important because a lot of people maybe wouldn't have felt confident to do it themselves before, whereas the more and more people and the more DIY content is exploding online, it gives people that push to be like, you can do it, you do it yourself. It inspires people. Well,
and I think it probably gives people a little bit more innovative things to actually try and adapt into the landscaping area within their garden. There's
not even it doesn't even know landscaping. It's like tiling,
building
building different things. And like also what I love about some DIY videos that I see is it inspires you of something that you'd never think about. So there was one particular account that I saw, she'd done like a water collection, so to come off a roof, and it came down into this beautiful pot, and she fitted her own tap into the pot, and it was beautiful. And I remember watching that and thinking, I would have never thought to do that. So I think it inspires you to maybe use odds and bobs that are around your house that you've maybe thought upcycle. I think a lot of people do that now, and a lot of it is fantastic. I think there's a lot of positives to DIY exploding in that way, because it does drive a lot
that in itself. That's not a new thing, people harvesting the rainwater, but traditionally before it used to go into sort of like a plastic barrel, then it's
not
unsightly.
aesthetic.
Yeah, exactly, unsightly things, but bringing the aesthetics into it, the DIY, again, that's the thing that people like to see on social media, and it is those aesthetically pleasing things. Like I say, as long as those are carried out with the correct preparation, everything behind
we'll come on to the risks that there definitely can be some risks within it. Just another one there is also, I think I've seen DIY projects happen that have actually inspired suppliers to then produce like that. I think it sparks everyone's creative minds, and I think it's quite nice to, like, panelling. I bet 10 years ago, no one had ever done their own panelling. I bet 5 out of 10 people now have attempted their own panelling. I don't know if this is self-made or not. But yeah, I tried to panel. I mean, I tried to panel. I realised I wasn't very good at panelling, but aesthetically on Instagram, it'd look fine. But if you had any eyes or you were within 5 metres of the wall, you'd realise that it wasn't fine. But it made me feel like I can do something like that I maybe wouldn't have been inspired to do before. So I think it definitely...
I think inspiration, like you say, is a
absolutely. So let's go on to the risks of DIY projects. There's a big one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, well, I think that the same as anything, take away DIY, anybody and anything on social media, because it's a shortened clip and everything that's done behind the scenes is taken out, you've got a risk that it makes things look easier than what they probably are.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, that time scale of
aesthetically, again, you're putting the aesthetic parts in, you're not putting the full process in.
No, and, you know, and I sort of... Again, I'll take different things out of this, but the one particular one where I saw it, and you know, you could have a safety implication of certain things if it's not prepared right, anything else. But again, somebody painting the patio just because it was cheaper to do that than whatever, has all sorts of safety sort of like implications to that. So I think, you know, you've got to have a little bit of common sense on what...
It's not that you can't do it. No, you can do it, but it's the information that's around what can happen and what can't happen.
Yeah, if people want to do that, no problem at all. But you make sure that you're using the correct paint, and it's got anti-slip on there or whatever you're doing. But yeah, I just think there's a massive danger into the perception of it probably being easier than what it is from that 30-second clip that you're looking at.
And I think because, again, we are saying about it being a 30-second clip, which a lot are unless you're on YouTube long form, is that you miss out the core things. So like we've said before, if we're talking about paving, it's the drainage, the sub-base, all the bits that aren't very aesthetic, but they're the fundamentals that need to be done before the nice, pleasing bit. And I think that's the issue with social media, is that it's giving people what they want to see all the time, like the bits that they find interesting, not necessarily what they need to see.
Yeah.
And when you're doing a DIY project, it's like, let's just go back to panelling again, is that when I did it, I had such a focus on mapping it out correctly, cutting the wood and getting it all into place, and fixing it to the wall. But when it came to when you're mitering it and you're putting your silicone in and your filler in, so even from 2 meters away, it can look absolutely fine. So when you're seeing the clips on social media, it all looks fine. But when you're close to it, if you're doing the silicone and the filling not correctly, it looks awful. But you won't see that on social media. You'll see the perfection of it. And I guess it's the bit that isn't necessarily aesthetic that isn't getting shown enough. So I don't think it gives a full... Some do, but some definitely don't. Some cut out and make it look like a very easy, simple process. And
that time scale of everything, you know, it's all right saying, I'm going to do this DIY, I'm going to do all this myself. I think there's certain projects that you do need professionals in for, you know.
They oversimplify it, don't they? They make it look very simple.
That's just the thing. What was coming on to that is, you know, if you're building a retaining wall, you know, you've got this, all of a sudden you if you're doing the foundation, you're doing it, showing it up, the foundation's done, you know, and then your wall's up. It's not quite as easy as that, you know. You've got certain things, structural engineers involved in certain things, which, you know, is, I know,
some people would not even know that though, would they?
But you know, you need to be aware of the pitfalls that can happen from poor preparation. And you know, that type of thing is the sort of thing I think of. The DIY, make it look easier. The videos, it's not as easy as what people think.
So there's a saying, piss poor preparation is piss poor performance.
It definitely
the
is.
whole time you were saying that was just in my head. I was like, I need to verbalise it.
It definitely is.
Just to clarify, that summarises that. I think safety as well. So obviously when it comes to everyone is, I'm sure, aware of their own capabilities, but like a lot of it is, like something that I did this weekend was putting like an algae remover on my walls, which is you leave it and you forget about it in 6 months' time. If you were working for, say if you were doing content for a brand that had a lot of chemicals in the products, they'd make you wear gloves. But if you're doing a DIY, people often miss out things like that, and that's really important because people don't realise that that's what you need to do. So like if something's really heavy, if something's got chemicals in it, and you should be wearing a mask or glasses or gloves, those things aren't regulated. So it again is cutting the aesthetic parts out of it, because it's not exactly aesthetic putting your gloves on, putting your big safety goggles on and showing a warning label of a fish.
I don't suppose, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, other safety things to sort of like take into consideration, yeah, your own personal safety and that type of thing. But if you're doing something with electrics or whatever you're doing in the garden, you've got to use the right things. You've got to be qualified to a certain point to be able to hook up to the mains and do whatever you're doing electric wise.
Even digging down, like how you know you're hitting I only learnt a few years ago of what colour the cabling is if you're hitting towards a electric cable, gas main,
whatever, all colour coded, you know what I mean? And you've got sort of different places to do if you're drilling into a wall, where is there electrics behind that, all those types
just
of
on the
things.
Cables, I feel like we're responsible to say it now. What colour are the cables for each
The
one?
gas is yellow.
Yeah.
And now you've put me on the spot, and I'll find
We'll come back on that. Well, no, we'll put it on there because it is
yeah.
important. I feel like they're kind of like major safety things.
Yeah,
that it's like
you've got the water, the gas, everything.
If you're popping through that,
it's you've just got to be aware of where you're digging and what you actually, how deep you're going.
Well, I think it was yellow for electrics as well, though, because when we were doing, you know, the ducting, do you remember when we said, because there's a few different ways that you can also, the cables can display, can't you? So they might put, is it sand?
Well, you lay them on a bed of sand, and then you put a pea gravel on the top of it to sort of like
indicate
that denotes that you get into pipes, etc., things like that, or ducting.
I wouldn't even think about if that hadn't have happened with the yard. I wouldn't have ever thought that. I'd have just dug my hole, and it wouldn't have even come into.
If you get to a layer of pea gravel, that means you get into something.
Which the professionals know, but when you're DIYing, that's not something that is exactly prioritised on social media to be shown, because it's not exactly aesthetically pleasing.
No,
and that, I guess, is the issue with social media.
It is.
So oversimplification is a big point with social media, isn't it? It makes everything look simple, and it's not necessarily.
Because it cuts away from some. You know, you do the before and after thing, and it's not like that. Oh, it's all gone. A little bit of you taking the existing paving up and putting it in a skip.
And then it's just
clicking
and it's done.
That, that type of situation. It's, oversimplification of tasks that are menial but really, really important, and that's why they're not shown. No,
and also it's difficult because, when you do a DIY job, if it's paving, it's not going to fail in the first 6 months. It's going to look beautiful for 6 months. It's that longevity of 10, 20. And some people, they're moving on a house and they're not even bothered about that, but it's that
Just laughing because you said, when you do a DIY job. No, I don't.
No, I stay well away from them. Everything I do just is, again, and I think this is the problem with oversimplification of DIY projects. I always end up rushing it, and I haven't got some of the core things in, and then it looks rubbish.
Well, that's
and it's the whole point of it. Yeah, because you just think, I'll just whack that up.
And the cost saving, and but people, the amount of time that it takes to actually do it, and then the amount of time that it actually takes to rectify what you've done.
Oh, definitely,
you are more often than not better off
getting a professional. It's like the panelling at home. I actually got a joiner in to do my little boy's panelling in his nursery. Wow. When I saw his panelling compared to mine, I was like, right, that is why you are in that profession and I am not. And there was such a massive difference in it. And I think there's negatives and positives of DIY content, but it's definitely becoming at the forefront, especially on my feeds and algorithms. That's what people are looking for. But again, we've said that's the issue, is that people are turning to social media for how-tos, which is proven.
Yeah.
But social media is promoting short-form aesthetic content. Those two don't marry up.
That's right, rather than long-form informational.
Yeah.
But who wants to sit through
They don't.
a 10-minute video of a
No, you
middle-aged old
don't.
man
I mean,
telling you what to do?
Me and Josh actually had to YouTube the other night because, you know, your plug hole, the start where you push it down and push it up. Yeah. Oh, didn't work. So went to YouTube. How do I fix a pushy up and downy plug hole? But he told me, and I wouldn't have been able to turn anywhere else. But I mean, that's a small thing. But yeah, that's where people turn to.
Yeah, information is key. And I think, it's just that the should DIY videos come with a warning as such?
I think they need to come with more context. Yeah. I think education and like with everything, but nothing's perfect. I think it's everyone just being aware that when they're seeing these things on social media, don't just think, right, I'm doing that tonight, I'm going to go by it. It's something you still need to research if you were getting
quite as easy
it
as
done.
What you might think it is.
Absolutely not.
And that's the summary I would say is that, I think DIY on social media is great, but just look into things because they won't be as easy as what you can.
No, which I definitely have learned that a few times.